Hello, everyone. Today, let's talk about a wonderful classic book, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. It's a great love story, for sure, but it's also about something more. It's about how we look at other people and how we can learn to see who they really are inside. Let me ask you something. Do you believe in first impressions? You know, that feeling you get the very first time you meet someone? We all do it. We decide very quickly if we like a person or not. This story shows us how sometimes we can be right, but sometimes we can be very, very wrong. Okay, so to really understand this story, we have to go back in time. Let's imagine we're in England, about 200 years ago. Life was very different then, especially for women. Back then, for a woman, getting married was, well, it was everything. It wasn't always about love. It was often about money and about having a safe home and a good life. This idea is really important for all the people in our story. So let's meet our main family, the Bennets. Mrs. Bennet, the mom, has one big goal in life. She wants her 5 daughters to marry rich men. Now, we're going to focus on 2 of them. First, there's Jane. She's the oldest, very beautiful and very kind. And then there's Elizabeth Bennet. She's our hero. She is very smart, and she likes to think for herself. The family's life is pretty quiet until one day, 2 rich, single men move into the neighborhood. This is big news. First, we have the friendly Mr. Bingley. He's a nice guy, really easy to like. And then there's his best friend, the very, very rich Mr. Darcy. But he's quiet and seems a little proud. And this is where the real story begins. Everyone goes to a big party, a dance. It's the first time they all meet. And, well, it does not go very well. Right away, Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy just don't like each other. Elizabeth hears Mr. Darcy say something that sounds rude about her. So she thinks, wow, this guy is so proud and mean. And Mr. Darcy, he looks at her family and thinks they're not very important people. So in just one night, a big wall goes up between them. So they see each other a few more times, and then something totally crazy happens. Mr. Darcy, the man Elizabeth thinks is so awful, comes to her and asks her to marry him. Can you believe it? What a surprise. And what does Elizabeth say? She says, no, she is very angry. She tells him, I could never marry you. You are too proud. You hurt my sister Jane, and you were very mean to your friend Mr. Wickham. She completely rejects him. But that's not the end of the story. Not even close. What Mr. Darcy does next, well, it changes everything. This is a really important part of the book, a real turning point. So instead of just getting angry and leaving, Mr. Darcy writes a long letter to Elizabeth. He doesn't make excuses, but he needs to tell her the truth. He wants her to understand his side of the story. And this letter, wow, it has some big secrets. First, he tells her that Mr. Wickham, that nice soldier she likes, he's actually a liar and not a good person at all. And second, he says, yes, he did separate Jane and Mr. Bingley, but only because he thought Jane didn't really love his friend. He was just trying to help. Reading this letter really shakes Elizabeth up. Everything she believed. Was it wrong? Could her first impression of Mr. Darcy have been a big, big mistake? For the first time, she starts to think that maybe she was the one who was wrong. And soon after, something bad happens that shows Mr. Darcy was telling the truth. Elizabeth's youngest sister, Lydia, runs away with Mr. Wickham. This was a huge problem back then. It could bring shame to the whole family. And guess who comes to help? That's right, Mr. Darcy. But he does it in secret. He finds Lydia and Wickham. He uses a lot of his own money to make Wickham marry her, and he saves the Bennet family's good name. And he does it all without telling anyone. He did it for Elizabeth. This amazing, kind act brings us to the beautiful ending of our story. It shows us what's really important, It's about what people do, not just what they say. So when Elizabeth finally finds out what Mr. Darcy did for her family, her feelings for him change completely. She finally sees the real him. Behind that proud face was a good and honorable man. All her bad feelings, her prejudice, just melt away. In the end, both Elizabeth and Darcy have changed. Elizabeth learned not to judge people so fast, and Darcy learned to be less proud. They can finally, truly see each other for who they are. And because of this understanding, they fall in love. So this time, when he asks her to marry him, she happily says yes. Now, this story is very old, but the reason we still read it and love it today is because its lesson is still so important. It's about how we can understand each other in our own lives, right here, right now. So, what can we learn from all this? Well, 3 simple things. 1, first impressions can be wrong. It's just a start, not the whole story. 2, we should really listen to people and try to understand them. And 3, real friendship and real love, they take time and effort. So I'll leave you with one last question. Think about the people in your life. Is there someone you judged very quickly, someone you decided you didn't like right away? Maybe, just maybe, that person deserves a second look.